My name is Thulani Nkala on Matabeleland Broadcasting Corporation. Today, I bring you the national spokesperson of ZAPU, Mr. Richard Gandari. Mr. Richard Gandari is going to introduce himself to give just a brief background about himself and about his work at ZAPU. Mr. Gandari, we welcome you on Matabeleland Broadcasting Corporation.
Thank you, my brother Tulan. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm feeling at home here with you. My name is Richard Gandari, and I'm the national spokesperson of ZAPU. I'm based in Harare, but as you know, our regional and greater office right now is based in Blaai. So sometimes I travel between the two cities to conduct our party business. So I've been the spokesperson for quite some time now. I think I took over just a year into the new administration at the end of 2023, and I've been spokesperson since then. So basically, that's what I'm up to right now.
Okay, no, thanks very much. Yeah, today basically what we are seeking to find from you is about the High Court case, which was brought by Matthew Spanda, Ekem Kala, Gideon Jamini, Ernest Ndlovu, and Mildred Mkanja against ZAPU, the current president of ZAPU, Spanglizwe Nkomo, and the current vice president of ZAPU, Mr. Derek Kasenga. So,
That's right.
if you don't mind, if you could just give us the background of the case.
Yeah. I must say it was a very long, drawn-out case. It took quite some time to be concluded, to be wrapped up. It started quite a long time ago. I think what happened is that it began as grievances within the party, members feeling disgruntled and having some grievances, some opposition to the manner in which the current president and maybe his deputy had been elected at Congress in 2021. So initially they petitioned and they demonstrated within the party using the internal remedies. And when that did not yield any tangibles for them, maybe in their view, they decided to take the matter to court, hoping for a determination that would have more legal binding, which was very unfortunate because in the end it consumed resources, not just for themselves, but even for us as a party. As you know, ZAPU is still under the caveat that was set up by the late Robert Mugabe in the early 80s, at the beginning of Gukurahundi, whereby our properties were seized by the government and forfeited to the state. So this became a very expensive undertaking on our part, a very costly exercise, which we unfortunately had to fund, otherwise would be held in contempt of court. So we had to attend to that. And also, it gave the appearance of internal remedies having failed, as if we had exhausted all the means to resolve our differences within the party. Those remedies exist, and I doubt very much if they were exhausted. But as you know, the legal system in Zimbabwe is such that anyone is free to approach the courts for remedy or for arbitration, whatever the case may be. So we did not criminalize that move by that group, the individuals that you have mentioned. Ordinarily, we refer to them as the Mat South 5. Makes it easy that way. So I'm referring to those individuals that you have identified by name individually. So now The court case itself, I cannot dwell much on who said what, who did
Yeah.
what. That was, sub judice. It was under review in the court. There was a lot of back and forth, questioning and all that, and witness testimony. As you know how court proceedings go. We defended our position, of course. We had our own defense, our own lawyers, and the works. The process itself went well in terms of the deliberations in the courtroom, but the time it took really was quite long. I am not sure why it took so long. Even after everything had been concluded, we had to wait for this judgment for several months, to the
Yeah.
extent that Mat 5 South, Mat South 5, they ended up holding a press conference, if you remember, where they were also complaining about those delays in the handing down of judgment. So
Yeah.
forward, I'm compressing a very long story here, cutting it very short. We come now to the judgment itself. Uh, we cannot say.
Before we come to the judgment,
Uh,
you spoke about their dissatisfaction,
yes,
maybe about the nomination and election of the president, Nkomo, and the vice president. But
that's true.
are there any other specific issues that they raised?
I think their contention was centered around membership of the president to begin with, and secondly, his eligibility to stand for the highest office in the party. I think they were referring to the idea that maybe one has to serve at least bare minimum 5 years before one is considered eligible to stand to become the president of ZAPU or vice president.
Is that a ZAPU constitutional requirement?
Apparently, the court determined that while that might be the letter of the constitution, this particular individual did not cease to be a member or did not serve as a member for less than the prescribed 5 years. So the burden of proof was on the plaintiffs, the people who were presenting this case before the court to prove that this person was not a member of the party for the 5 years or for more than 5 years for them to be eligible. So it then went back to the idea of saying, was he a member? And it turns out that he was a member since 2010 in the case of President Nkomo. And now the contention of the plaintiffs was he paying his subscriptions and things like that to prove that he was a member in good standing. Again, it came to that. And the court also determined that the constitution allows for a member to rectify, his membership, his status in terms of subscriptions. So even if you're in arrears, say for 2 or 3 years, you decide to run for for national office at that high level, you can still rectify your issues and then be in good standing, which the president did. If ever he had some areas or whatever, he rectified that. So he was a member in good standing at the time of his election.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. You were about to talk about the judgment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, of course, like I said, in court, a lot of things were said. And whenever there's a dispute, there are many elements. There are facts, there are opinions, there's conjecture, there's even bickering, and even sometimes conspiracy theories arise from those deliberations. A court case is never a romantic date where people really see eye to eye and love one another. So it can become acrimonious and things can go sideways at any time. So those looking from outside thought we were having a battle. Some call it a court challenge or a court battle. And I've seen in media coverage that so and so has won, so and so has lost, because to them it's a battle. So when you're talking of battle, that's when you can talk about winners and losers. But coming to the court judgment, I think the court itself just simply looked at what the Constitution provides. Fortunately, as ZAPU, we are one of the few remaining political parties with a constitution that is intact. Our constitution is supreme. There's no individual in ZAPU who is supreme, not even the president. He just sits in that seat constitutionally. Anyone can occupy that seat and still have the same respect that we accord him. So it's not about the individual. The seat is not reserved for him.
Yeah.
It is just the seat of the president. So it is a constitutional provision, not an individual prerogative.
So what was the judgment?
So the judgment ruled, of course, in favor of the defendants, the people who had been put to defend themselves, in favor of ZAPU, in favor of the president of ZAPU, in favor of the vice president.
Mm-hmm.
That was the judgment. It took us back into our own constitution to say, your constitution allows for this, your constitution provides for this, and that's it. There was no superior argument. There was no winner, there was no loser. It was just a reminder that you have a constitution that can guide you in matters like this.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the judge saw merit in the arguments brought by the appellants, the plaintiffs, to the extent that he did not judge in favor of them, like in favor of us or against them, to say they must pay costs. So there was no determination in terms of costs. Their case was dismissed, but they were not ordered to pay anything, like for our legal costs and everything.
Mm.
Like I mentioned earlier, it did cost us money to be in that court case.
Okay.
But they were not ordered to pay. And following that judgment now, maybe I can quickly let you know that, of course, we side with relief. We were relieved. That is the feeling. But we did not feel triumphant. We did not feel any need to celebrate, to say we've won, so and so has lost, and what have you. We decided this is a good moment to find each other. Those people who took us to court, they are our members, just people who had grievances. It's regrettable that we could not find internal remedies in time to prevent the court case to begin with. But since it happened, we still look at it as something that opened even our eyes to even relook at our own constitution and fully understand it. Because sometimes you sit with a document, it's like a company when you're running it and you don't take time to read through your memos, your memorandum of and articles of association. It takes sometimes a court case, it takes litigation sometimes for you to wake up and say, look, I really need to master this document and understand, so that in the future we don't have such cases happening.
Yeah.
Where people feel like the constitution cannot address. We have a constitution in our party, and anything that affects party members can be addressed by the constitution. But of course, there are issues that are of a legal nature, issues that are of a criminal nature, issues that are of a civil nature. Then those can go to the courts. We can accept that.
Yeah. You have said that the court proceedings can be very acrimonious.
Yes.
And now you have also said after the judgment, you feel that this is an opportune moment
Yes.
for you as a party to find each other. So,
Yes.
processes have you put in place to vision we are talking about?
Yes. Basically, what happens with the issue of reconciliation, it does not wish away the issues that happened. It does not erase history. You simply choose to build. Whether it's you're building on rubble or whether you're building on shaky ground or what have you, but you just will yourself to say, we are burying the hatchet. We are turning our swords into plowshares. We are deciding to be magnanimous, to be generous, to extend the olive branch to our brothers and sisters who had grievances. I personally do not feel that there was malice,
Yeah.
or that these people these former members were being malicious or just wanted to destroy ZAPU. No, they felt the genuine grievances.
Okay.
And I think even the president also arrived at that same conclusion without any coercion or anyone forcing him to do that. It was out of his own volition. He said, look, I don't feel any grudge against my comrades. They are free to come back into ZAPU if they choose to do that. The onus is upon them to accept his olive branch. Of course, no one is going to be dragged back into the party. Remember, ZAPU is a voluntary organization. No one is forced to be in ZAPU, and no one is thrown overboard either. So we love one another, and we've decided, look, these comrades, yes, they did A, B, C, and D, but when they come back, it's unconditional. No questions asked, no apology demanded. Just go to your branch, talk to the branch chairman, and get your membership or your renewed membership regularized. That is the offer that is on the table as we speak.
Okay.
Not sure if we have any takers, but that is what is on the table at the moment.
The decision that you have made, it sounds like a very political mature decision. How
Thank you.
Not or in terms of just leaving it in the ether without putting concrete steps to reunite, whether it will work or not. What's your view?
Yes. What happens? I think what brought us here also is that we had to admit that perhaps our internal remedies are a bit vague in terms of grievance management and complaints management. Do we have channels that are open for members to freely express themselves? To say, I don't agree with this, or I'm not feeling happy about this. That is something that we're taking a look at to rectify that, so that in future, moving forward, people should be able to air their views without consequence. When you're dealing with consensus, there's no right or wrong. There's no A, there's no B, there's just consensus, there's C. So people should be free to speak truth to power, so to speak. Even if it's the president and someone feels, even at branch level, to say, but I'm not happy with this policy or the direction we're taking on this issue. That person should not have any consequences happening, anything negative happening to that person. It should not be dangerous for you to air your views or even to be at variance with the majority. You should be able to come forward and say, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with this, or I would rather we do this. Sometimes the minority can be right and the majority can be wrong. it can happen that way. So I think the president himself, at a personal level, he probably did some introspection. Remember, we announced this amnesty some days after the judgment. This was not impulsive. It did not come on the day of the judgment. We took time to really weigh both arguments, like how we got here, what the judgment said, and the merits and demerits of the case.
Yeah.
So we did some introspection, some soul searching to arrive at this point whereby we decided, look, it's more constructive, it's more viable for us to readmit our members. Those are good members of ZAPU. I tell you, I know nearly all of them at a personal level. They are not malicious. They're not people who want to damage ZAPU, want to destroy. They love ZAPU. Even to this day, I believe that they love ZAPU, and they probably had good intentions. And I don't think they even if the judgment had gone in their favor, it would not be the end of ZAPU.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will feel the same and say, look, we have set aside these individuals whose eligibility was questionable, but the party must proceed. We are moving ahead. And then something else would have been worked out. So this was not something that we can say is a blemish on those individuals, or we then treat them as black sheep or prodigal members. There's nothing like that. They are just good members of ZAPU in good standing, in my view.
Okay. Reflecting on the whole court processes or proceedings, what would you say are the that you gleaned from this process?
Yes. You see, the temptation is always there to always maybe glorify the court whenever the judgment is in your favor, and then one day you vilify the same court when the judgment is not in your favor. It's very hard to be objective with the judiciary in Zimbabwe in general. I think our considered position is that we feel that the courts are captured. We've put that in the public domain. It's known everywhere. But in this particular case, we are actually surprised, pleasantly so, that the court decided to just focus on our own constitution. They did not side with anyone, really. They sided with the constitution. And that is something that is unique. It is commendable, really, to be honest, because we cannot say then we argued better than the other side, or that the weaker argument. No, it was just the constitution which we have, and it reminds us that we must safeguard and preserve this document, make it a sacred document, because that is our true north. As long as we have a constitution in ZAPU, this party will live forever. It will have no problems, because Congress will come. If you are not happy with the leader, you elect someone else there. So the party has got perennial succession. It is in safe hands as long as the constitution is respected. And this is what the court case was all about. For us, the judgment reaffirms the supremacy of our own constitution. And that to us then becomes a reminder that we already have the answer that we were looking for. Even the other side, I'm sure the other guys, the Mat South 5, are just looking at the constitution and thinking, but we had this, we could have read this closer and then maybe tried to understand it better before we took matters to court for arbitration.
Yeah. In terms of your internal resolution mechanisms, do you feel that you exhausted them adequately? You try, even you as defendants, as members of ZAPU,
yes,
to go and talk to the other part. Did you try?
I feel like efforts were made, but we could have done more Surely there was room for more. We could have done more, but I think resignation also quickly set in when things were taken to court. People thought, since the case is already before the courts, maybe let the courts decide. But surely within the party, we have an organ called the National Council of Elders. And I think that is the best organ because by nature, elders, they have wisdom.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to then guide those who are aggrieved, those who have got challenges, or those who are feeling oppressed even. So we have got that organ, and I don't think we fully utilized it on this particular case. They could have done a better job. Of course, you could not deploy the same people whose legitimacy was being put in question to go and meet the other side. The element of agreement that I was talking about earlier on. So we needed some kind of a clean arbiter, like a mediator. And the National Council of Elders is an organ that exists primarily for such issues. I am, at the risk of scoring an own goal, I must admit here that we really did not do well in that area. We could have done better with the elders if we had deployed them, given them capacity, given them enough time to meet the other people. We could have settled this outside court, really.
Okay.
But since the court process started, I think people just thought, well, look, the horse has already bolted, so we might as well just follow the court process and not bother any other internal efforts.
Yeah. All right. No, I think for today we have exhausted the topic that I had intended for us to discuss. However, there are many things that I would like to discuss with you pertaining to ZAPU. I would be happy if you would commit right on air today that we will have a sitting again where we can really go deep into different issues about ZAPU.
Yes, definitely. I would actually be very honored and very happy to have such platforms from you. Remember, you are in the media, you are the voice of the voiceless. We feel like we are among the marginalized, the people whose voices cannot be heard. And we have other people speaking for us and all that. Would rather be happy to speak for ourselves through your channel. So really, you didn't need much to invite me here. I'm happy to be here, and I'll be happy to return again. Of course, now that we've done this, there will be maybe improvements in technicals and things like that, settings and what have you. I'll prepare more for that. And surely we can make this a routine engagement. We can make this a regular engagement. I don't mind that at all. It's actually a positive for us when the media affords us a platform to speak. This is how we can set the record straight.
Okay.
And we can dispel misinformation and disinformation.
Oh, definitely.
A lot of problems out there.
No, definitely. Thanks very, very much, Mr. Kandari. That was the spokesperson, national spokesperson of ZAPU. We know ZAPU is the mother party. Mr. Kandari, your closing remarks, sir, you can share whatever you want to share, whether it's a question that I did not ask you, but you wanted me to ask, or whatever you want to say.
Yes, I think I must also explain a little bit about the amnesty that we have extended to the comrades who took us to court. That the amnesty does not apply to them only. We've now opened the doors for everyone, anyone who might have left ZAPU because of some grievances in the past, whatever it might have been, even disciplinary cases, things like that. If people feel like they want to come back into ZAPU, they are free to do so at this moment. We are calling people to say, come back home. Even new members, feel free to join this party. You see, if you are going to take political power in a democratic manner, in a country that has a constitution, you need to be organized. You cannot just grab power from the streets. You cannot do it willy-nilly. You need to be organized as a party, participate in elections, and win power, just like our comrades in Botswana have done. These ruling parties, they look like so big and impossible, but we can unseat them together. We can do it. ZAPU can be a thing of the past without anyone losing their lives in a bloodless removal using the ballots. So what we need is to strengthen ZAPU. Like I mentioned resources earlier, we struggle with that a lot because of things that were done historically. But we cannot continue to cry and worry about that at all times. We can still now explore other ways of financing our party, funding our party, funding projects and things like that. And this call also goes to people in the diaspora, people who are not in Zimbabwe. You can be a member of ZAPU wherever you are. We have ZAPU in South Africa, we have ZAPU in Botswana, we have ZAPU in Namibia, even in the UK, America, wherever you may be. You don't have to be physically in Zimbabwe only to be a member of ZAPU. And we are going to campaign for the diaspora vote so that people in the diaspora can also vote. You should be a member and also be able to vote, just like we've seen people voting for Mozambique when they're in Zimbabwe. Why should we not be able to vote when we are outside Zimbabwe? So those are some of the things we are trying to do for our own brothers and sisters who are many out there in the diaspora. So these are some of the topics also maybe we can discuss alongside our central policy of devolution. We believe that every province of Zimbabwe must be devolved. By the way, devolution is different from secession. We're not saying we want to split the country, but we're saying people must benefit from resources which are in their province and have some level of autonomy so that they can have respect for their own culture, preservation of their own language, and things like that. And as a policy also, we're trying to promote the use of multiple languages in Zimbabwe so that our people can speak there's more than just one or two languages in a rich country like ours in terms of culture. So maybe that will be my closing remark, but definitely there's a lot more we can talk about in the future.
Oh, definitely. Thanks very, very much, Mr. Kandari. We hope we will talk to you very, very, very soon.
True.
Thanks a lot.
Pleasure. I appreciate you, Mr. Nkali. Thank you so much for this.